many corners of the internet suggest that we are in a period of Metroidvania oversaturation. Too many, says the man in Washington. Too many, says the man in the Vatican. I rejected those answers. I chose to just be happy. Moonscars is a gorgeous hand-drawn 2D Souls-like, which is actually pretty bloody, but I didn't think about that until this review. I think Blasphemous and the recent No Place for Bravery have spoiled me with their extremely gory execution systems. The art is striking though, and I love discovering new enemies. You are a living statue, Grey Irma, a facsimile of a great warrior who is fighting her way back to her creator, the sculptor, and piecing your memory back together. You hack and slash your way through the spiders and soldiers you can expect from a dark fantasy setting with a few oddities thrown in. It's a cryptic story, but doesn't seem too difficult to parse out. I wasn't ever too invested, but there are some really tantalizing threads here. You'll be dealing with doppelgangers, witches, and evil queens, scavenging the world to figure out NPC quests. I'm honestly pretty amazed by how much is going on systems-wise and how seamless it is. You don't level up, but you're collecting bone powder from fallen enemies to upgrade an extensive skill tree that can give you various spells ranging from magic blast and poison to summoning a familiar. If you're happy with your skills, you can spend your currency on amulets or gemstones that give you various buffs. I saved up early on for a big ticket item that gave me a little health back with each successful parry, which I found mega helpful. Healing is taken straight from Hollow Knight. You have an Ichor bar for spells and healing that you damage enemies in some environments to refill. And there's more. You got Spite that accrues as you defeat enemies, which gives you a choice between 3 buffs when it activates. These last you until your next death. You also have a choice between 3 special weapons which can have various boons and levels. There's a consumable called Ichor Glands you can use to buy amulets, upgrade how much you collect of certain resources, and change the state of the game world which is affected by your death. When you die, the moon turns blood red and the enemies become more difficult. They drop more bone powder now, but I think that'll be little comfort to those who are struggling. And I'm not gonna lie, you're probably going to die a lot. So much that I found using a consumable to fix things felt futile, and I just dealt with a slight bump in difficulty. Honestly, this might be the most difficult Metroidvania I've played. If you're good at Dead Cells, you'll probably have a better shot here, but it's still not easy going. In typical Souls fashion, you drop all of your bone powder when you die, and if you get back to them and pick them up without dying, they're yours again. Otherwise, they're gone forever. Fortunately, this game has a nice balance where none of the upgrades feel necessary, just cool. You have checkpoints that you can warp between from the start. This world's version of a bonfire is a really appealing mirror. Occasionally, your mirror will send you back to your hub area without warning, where nearly all of the NPCs you meet gather, and summons a doppelganger at the mirror you used, who you need to defeat if you want to regain use of your special weapon. I know it sounds like a lot, but it all comes together very smoothly to let you feel like you have say over your character progression. You also find upgrades to your damage, max health, and Ichor throughout the world if you choose to poke around. It is packed with little secrets and is surprisingly expansive. The hacking and slashing stays engaging due to clever enemy design and them staying dangerous throughout if you aren't careful. Once you learn everything that you have at your disposal though, it feels great to be thrown into a group of enemies. It never got old hitting them into spikes and hearing that schlop. Early on, this game has a great feeling of falling into encounters, thinking what the hell is that, and laughing when you immediately die. If you're a fan of the genre, this is a great feast, but it doesn't come without some nagging problems. For how large areas can be, there's a surprising lack of bosses. Mini-bosses are all over, but they eventually get thrown into the regular enemy pool, which weakens their early wow factor. What boss fights are here are really cool, but it would have gone a long way in staving off exhaustion in these very long areas if we had some bigger set-piece moments. I think a lot of that would have been helped by adding some more checkpoints too. I'm pretty done with boss runs in these games. Having to spend up to a minute just to get back to a boss and hope you don't get hit on the way made some extremely cool encounters harder to love, and despite some dynamic fun during bosses, the music is largely forgettable. I don't think Moonscars is as charming as some others we've had lately, like Death's Gambit Afterlife or Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights. But overall, this is really killer. I'd find myself getting into unnecessary fights just for the fun of it about halfway through. Unfortunately, I would exercise some caution until this gets a patch. There was some heavy frame rate stuttering near the end of my play that proved fatal, and at the time of this review, I am incapable of completing the game. In my fervor to find secrets, I found myself somehow out of bounds and inside of a wall where things get weird. My dear Irma remains in this limbo, but after 19 hours of play and getting a little over half of the achievements, I feel like I put in the time to confidently say, this is a game worth picking up. A small team like this should never, ever try something this ambitious for their first game. But I'm so glad that developer Black Mermaid did. I wish I could tell you they stick the landing for sure, but I will be ready in a couple weeks to give this another run and finish it out. I have no qualms going through this world again.